Yo, Mr. Jumbo here. I kind of want to show you guys how I leveled with Wizard, which skills I mainly used, and what I lock. Like, there are some skills you have to lock when you level up with Wizard, and I'm gonna tell you about it a little bit. So what I did was I maxed out a Magic Arrow. Magic Arrow basically hits a projectile to an enemy or multiple enemies. Well, mostly it's just single target enemies, but it deals so much damage if you level this up. Since Wizard on the beginning has a 20 AP bonus, you're basically one-tapping everything with it, or just take like 2 or 3 hits to kill something with it. Never ever use concentrated arrow. This is dog shit and it takes long to cast. Fireball is one of the best skills to level with, together with explosive fireball. This combination is one of my favorite ones, and it's really fluid to level up your wizard at the beginning. This is probably one of the first skills you unlock and one of the first skills you play. Next up, Meteor Shower. I'm not a huge fan of Meteor Shower. I love this skill more in PvP. For PvE, I would just lock it. I would just personally lock it. And now we're talking about Lightning Chain. Lightning Chain is one of those skills that I also lock. I just never use this to level up, because it slows me down and it just takes long to cast and it doesn't do that much damage. For Lightning Storm, I'm also not a huge fan of Lightning Storm. That's why both of those skills are never used for me when I level up my wizard. As for Lightning, this is one of my favorite skills also to level up, together with Residential Lightning. You have to max out both of those skills, and when you hit level 56, when you do your Awakening quest, what you also can do is take the Absolute Lightning and Residential, and then you can also take the Ultimate Fireball Explosion and the Ultimate Fireball, the Absolute versions. That makes it way easier to do your Awakening quests or your Succession quests, which is a huge pog. Now we're talking about freezing. I hate freezing. I'm not a huge fan of freezing, but I know people that I played a long time with that even use this skill in the later, like when you have Succession, they use this skill a lot, and they also use it in PvP a lot, and that's mainly because of the super armor. Super armor is one of the best like passives you can have on a skill, which makes you sometimes don't get stunned, or you just take less damage or no damage at all. And that is why it is really good to have super armor in a combo. And Fidget Folk is one of the combos for a lot of PvP builds. But for grinding levels, it's locked. I lock freeze for leveling up. It's not gonna happen. Blizzard. Blizzard is also really slow in my opinion for grinding, because you're casting it and then it just keeps on hitting, but when it keeps on hitting you have forward guard up. What forward guard does is that you don't get staggered or stunned whenever you use this skill from the front. Well, actually it is 130 degrees, or actually 360 degrees around you with forward guard. You will not get stunned while you use this, but the problem is that you're stuck in like a position that you can still get hit by monsters pretty easily from the sides, from behind you. And it is obviously one of the slower skills. I wouldn't consider using this if you grind from level 1 to 56 with Wizard. It is locked. For me it's a locked skill, or not even picked skill. Earthquake. Uh, Earthquake is a really nice skill. It gives you also MP back whenever you use it. It is pretty quickly. This might be actually a viable skill. It gives you super armor. This can be used in PvE to level up. Many of my friends also use this when they use a seasonal surfer wizard and they're just throwing Earthquake in the mix. Personally, I don't use Earthquake at all. I only use Residential Lightning and Fireball, and then the arrow projectiles personally. But sometimes throw in a earthquake is pretty fun. So I would say you can unlock this skill and use it. It is pretty good. Okay, Earth's response. Basically, when you go to left or right while pressing R1, then this skill will work automatically whenever you dodge. Like, it's like a dodge skill, but it does like an extra damage. It is pretty good in PvE, I would say, early on. Later, I would not like use it unless you're going for succession. But it is pretty good. Should be unlocked in my opinion. This one should be unlocked. Yeah. Now for the teleport skill is one of the most important movement skills for the wizard. Then we have the later version which teleports twice. This is really nice to always have on. You can put it on 1 or 2 points. 3 doesn't really matter because it really shines when you have this unlocked on level 56 where you teleport double and then gives you like the short speed bonus. This is what one of the best things, and you're also invincible where you're teleporting, which is huge. It's the same with normal teleport. You're also invincible in the one single teleport, but the twice teleport is just way stronger. You can get way further, and there's far more possibility of what you can do with it. But teleport, always unlock it. It is really good. Dagger stab, lock it instantly. Not even in PvP I see people use this. Like, this is total trash. Like, this is one of the most trashiest skill I've ever seen in my life. It is really bad. Like, if you're in the middle of packs and you just dagger a monster and the monster is just looking at you. You're not like in super armor or whatever. You're just looking at you, knocks you over and fucks you in the ass. Never ever unlock dagger stab. It's fucking trash. Oh my god, mana absorption. Early game mana absorption is huge. It deals a little bit damage, but it doesn't really matter that it does damage because you get so much mana back. This is one of my favorite skills also early game to get my mana back instead of throwing a healing arrow on myself, which is also considered pretty good. If you max out this and throw healing arrow on yourself every single time you have it, it's also a really good option. But mana absorption, one of my favorite skills. I would always have it unlocked when I'm not in awakening. Magical shield. You don't use this at all in early PvE. You can lock this, or you can use it maybe if somebody tries to PK you, but it's not really a necessary skill and you don't really need this skill at all. That's my opinion. This skill is basically kind of useless early on. Resurrection, I would only consider using this if I have friends that I play with that are trash at the game and I try to like help them and get through the beginning. Maybe I would use Resurrection, or when you do a guild raid or you do an Fel's Heart raid, or when you do any kind of raid as a group, it might be useful to have Resurrection, but most of the times it's just useless. In PvP, it's also very strong. Like, if you can just get some people back alive, is pretty chill. But most of the times, the people are pretty far away from each other. It has a 10 minutes cooldown, and you can revive an unlimited amount of people in the circle though. So that's one thing to consider. If everybody stays together in one single fucking spot, you can basically revive all of them back instantly, which is sometimes used as a strategy in PvP, but it is useless in leveling up, and I would lock it or not even use it, to be honest. Speed spell, you can use this to level up. I would only consider doing this on speed spell 1. I wouldn't level it up further because there's just other things you can better put your points in than this. And the 10% movement, attack and casting is pretty good enough. 1.5 minute cooldown, not that bad. You can always use this on level 1 and don't really level it up further than that. As for late down the road, when you're like level 60 plus, max it out, I would say, because you can use this in your awakening. It's the same with like a couple of other skills you can use in your awakening form. So speed spell, pretty good. Hold it unlocked. Healing aura, this is actually the main healing skill. Let's be realistic here. This is the main healing skill of the wizard. Everybody, their family, their friends, everybody has it on. So if you look at my bar down below, I always have this healing aura on. I can instant cast it on myself, and you can use it in the middle of a fight. And sometimes you can even throw it to your friend. Like, let's say that this person is my friend, and I'm here, and I see he's low. I can target him sidewards, and then throw it right in front of him. But the problem with this heal, if you want to throw it to somebody, is you need to throw it right in front of him, or to his side, like on the ground. If you try to hit it on his body, you'll probably just miss him. So if you run sideways, and then you can just throw it like that, and he will get healed by it. So yes, it is actually pretty viable in PvE, and it is pretty much the best healing skill to always have active whenever you can. You can heal MP back and HP back. Use it whenever you can if you're in a grind. This is one of the best skills from Wizard, in my opinion. Then we got Healing Lighthouse. This is the second strongest heal the wizard possesses. What this heal basically does is it heals 3 separate times in 2 seconds casts each, and it can heal your full HP with a single burst. So it can basically heal you from 1 to 100 3 times in one cast. Magic Lighthouse 3. I would use this in PvE, elites and bosses. It lowers the magic DP of monsters by 50. Oh yeah, it gains 50 aggro, so that means that also the monsters are focusing this aura ball instead of you. So it also decreases their DP by 15 on top of that. That's pretty huge in PvE. In PvP this is not used, so if you're in PvP just lock it out. Spellbound Heart is basically a passive which also always heals MP back. So I always have that on, like I even have it in my auras here. Spellbound Heart, whenever I grind, this ball follows me. Always. Just heals my MP back. It's the same like when you hit R2 or you're just shooting balls with your awakening weapon that also heals your MP, which is why that is pretty huge. It just stacks together pretty well, and it is probably also one of the best passive skills in the game. If you think about all the skills in the game, that would be one of the best passive skills. Healing 250 MP each 4 seconds, was it? 4 or 5 seconds? That is fucking nuts. This skill got nerfed. Protected area got nerfed so hard, man. It has now a 50% damage reduction for a certain amount of time in like the circle when you cast it. But before it got nerfed, it gave you 999 DP. What that meant was that the cast is then for 10 seconds long. Now it's like reduced to, if you max it out, it's like also like 10 seconds. But in that 10 seconds, you'd be immortal basically with that skill up. And you could also have super armor, and somebody could buff you from the side. So you also have like forward guard up together with like an extra aura. So that shit was nuts in PvP. And whenever you were almost dead in PvE, you just cast this. But now it's fucking useless. Sage's memory, pretty straightforward. You use it and you can use any skill in game without casting time. It is pretty strong. Magic training, max this out. This needs to be maxed out. It gives you like damage, more damage, casting speed, and more damage. Just maxed it out. Infinite Master, maxed it out. It gives you a shit ton of bonus HP. Skilled Hunter, max this out. It gives you a lot of monster AP, which means that you do a lot more damage against monsters, which is huge. You need to max this out whenever you can. Next up, we got Rage Absorption. innate, and you got rage absorption common. And you got rage transfer, which can give it to one of your friends, which is pretty fun. Sometimes you can just, let's say there's one of your friends. Mostly they use this to, how the fuck's that shit called? A tamer, yeah? So if somebody plays a tamer, most of the people would rage transfer it over to the tamer. Because the tamer's ultimate would be able to one-shot an entire group of 10 people in a single skill, which was insanity. It still sometimes does, but people have so high DP on PC that you basically cannot one-shot them anymore with it. But on PlayStation you still can one-shot it with a tamer. So if you're in PvP, you have a tamer in your team, just rage transfer over to that tamer and she'll basically one-shot an entire group. It's funny as fuck. As for emergency escape, this is basically the escape button. You're almost dead. You're almost certain that you're about to die. Instantly use it. Like, whenever you're almost about to die, just use it. Otherwise you'll be wasting time getting back to that area. And or you're in a PvP, like somebody tries to PK you, just emergency escape, and when you do that you're able to make like a comeback. Sometimes it doesn't work at all in PvP, but most of the times it's better to try it than not to try it, in my opinion.